Let's start with the vision from Microsoft 365. Before we talk Microsoft 365 specifically, let's take a step back and think on what Microsoft is known for. What do you think when you think Microsoft? The first one is probably Windows, and I'm sure many of you watching are on a Windows operating system right now. We also have the popular Microsoft Office suite, which contains Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, and so on. Those are used both on the consumer as well as the business side. But now if we go into business side more specifically, we also have Microsoft Azure and Office 365 cloud platforms, and lastly, something that is fairly new, and by new I mean, of course, a few years old, but lately Microsoft has been putting a lot of effort into it as all of the security and device management solutions, such as Intune, System Center Configuration Manager, Azure AD Premium, and so on. What does this all have to do with Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 is positioned as a complete solution for your enterprise productivity needs. Microsoft 365 is a single subscription which gives you access to Windows 10, Enterprise Mobility and Security, also known as EMS, and Office 365, which includes the Office client. As Microsoft puts it, it's the single solution that gives you all of the tools you need for productivity and security inside your organization. There are 4 pillars or goals that Microsoft talks about when talking about Microsoft 365. Those are unlocks creativity, built for teamwork, integrated for simplicity, and intelligent security. In this module, we'll see all of the actual tools and services that make those 4 goals possible. Let's start looking at the services included in Microsoft 365. First of all, Office 365. Office 365 is a software as a service suite offering Microsoft's latest collaboration tools. Office 365 is a combination of services that also exist as on-premises version, for example, SharePoint Server, Exchange Server, Skype for Business Server, and Power BI Server. So whenever you see in any document or presentation SharePoint online, for example, it refers to the version of SharePoint inside Office 365, while if you see SharePoint Server or Exchange Server, it refers to on-premises. The Office 365 version of those tools, however, even if it's still called almost the same, will always get the latest features years in advance, or some features available in the online version might never make it to the on-premises version. Let's take a look in details at some of those services. First one we will look at is SharePoint Online. SharePoint Online is a web-based enterprise content management tool, so it allows you to manage documents, taxonomy, list items, content types, and so on. It is also a very popular intranet platform, allowing you to create, customize, and personalize your intranet on SharePoint. SharePoint is not only internal, it's also external, so you can invite external users to collaborate on documents and other types of items with you. Another very strong aspect of SharePoint is its search functionality, allowing you to quickly find documents, policies, news, and so on, and there are a ton of other features in SharePoint, but those are the highlights. Next up, OneDrive for Business. OneDrive for Business is another Office 365 service, but this one is for your personal work documents. What I mean by that is that SharePoint also allows you to store documents, but those documents are usually shared with a known amount of people in the team site, or in the project site, or similar. OneDrive for Business is more for the documents that you're currently working on alone, or with a few people that aren't yet ready to go in a SharePoint team site. Think of it as replacing your P or T personal file shares that we had before. OneDrive for Business gives every Office 365 user between 1 TB and unlimited storage, depending on what license the user has. So from an IT perspective, imagine migrating all of those file shares that you now have to pay for storage, take care of the backups, and so on, moving them to OneDrive for Business, and then Microsoft takes care of all of the backend for you. OneDrive for Business also allows you to synchronize files to your desktop in order to be able to work on them from Windows Explorer. The app is very similar from a concept and feature point of view to Dropbox, which is another very similar application that allows you to synchronize files from the online storage to your desktop. Next up is Exchange Online, which is hosted email for business. Exchange doesn't only do emails, You also have calendar, tasks, contacts, and so on, but funnily enough, most end users have no idea about Exchange, since most users interact with their emails via Outlook, which is a client tool, so it's a tool that's more known by administrators rather than by users, but it's still a very important tool in the backend of Microsoft 365. Now to go to a tool that has taken Office 365 by storm with huge adoption numbers in the past 3 years, Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is an instant chat tool for Office 365 and allows you to have group chats, 1:1 chats, meetings, and so on. Those workloads used to be managed by Skype for Business in a Microsoft ecosystem. However, Microsoft Teams will replace Skype for Business in Office 365, and most new tenants have Teams enabled by default and not Skype for Business already. Microsoft Teams also has file sharing, but this actually using SharePoint in the back end, since every Microsoft team is coupled together with a SharePoint site. Microsoft Teams also has the ability to integrate different external systems, such as line of business application, and even create chat bots, Q&A bots, that your users can interact with. Now let's talk a bit more about task management in Office 365, starting with Microsoft Planner. Microsoft Planner is used for task management for teams, and it's very similar to Trello, for those of you that have used it in the past. It also has some very nice reports around the tasks built in directly into the product. Another task management tool in Office 365 is called Microsoft To Do. Microsoft To Do is more for personal task management, so you can manage your own tasks, create lists, tasks, reminders, and so on. So really, Planner is focused on team task management, whereas Microsoft To Do is personal, and they do have some nice integrations in between. We have talked about document management, instant chat, task management. Now let's talk about videos. Microsoft Stream is a private video hosting service inside your tenant, allowing you to host videos for things such as company news, training, the CEO's video log, or similar things. It also allows you to organize live events and organization for announcements and other important events. Next up, let's talk about some tools that help us to automate business processes in Office 365, starting with Microsoft Flow. Microsoft Flow is a business process automation, or workflow tool, inside of the Microsoft 365 stack. It's built for power users. So no coding is required for most activities, but of course, you can add some code in there of your developer if you want to take it to the next level. Microsoft Flow also integrates with over 200 services, both internal inside Microsoft, as well as external services, such as Twitter, MailChimp, Salesforce, Trello, and so on. Next up, Power Apps. Power Apps is a suite of apps, services, connectors, and data platforms that provides a rapid application development environment to build custom apps for your users' needs. Using Power Apps, you can quickly build custom business apps that connect your business data, and similar to Microsoft Flow, it can connect to over 200 services both inside and outside the Microsoft 365 stack. We are not done yet with Office 365. There's still a few applications to talk about, and one of those is Yammer. Yammer is an enterprise social network that is part of your Office 365 subscription. It allows for Facebook-style communication with users both inside or outside of your organization, and allows you to share knowledge and build communities. Microsoft 365 also includes Power BI. Power BI is a business analytics solution that lets you visualize your data and share insights across your organization, or embed them in your app or website, connect to hundreds of data sources, and easily bring your data to life with live dashboards and reports. Finally, last but not least, this is actually a huge part of Office 365 is the Office-heavy client called Office 365 Pro Plus. Office 365 Pro Plus is an evergreen version of Microsoft Office that is installed locally on every desktop or mobile device that you want and has multiple features powered by the cloud. It gets new feature updates twice per year, and it's always more advanced than the current standalone version of Office, and by standalone I mean, for example, if you go and buy Office 2019 at the store or buy it as an on-premises customer getting that Office 2019, which is the latest version at the time of recording this course. We have now covered Office 365, let's also talk about Windows as a service. Microsoft 365 includes the latest version of Windows, which is Windows 10 at least at the time of recording this course, and what idea of Windows as a service, there's no new version of Windows every few years. The problem with waiting a few years and then having a big version of Windows is that it often introduces big changes, which means user training is required, and users spend a long time without any new features at all. Also, users and organizations take a long time to update to the new version, which means that there are a lot of devices that are not updated and therefore not secure. With Windows as a service, you get major updates twice per year around March and September, so that you know you'll always be on the latest version of Windows both in terms of security and features. The last big part of the Microsoft 365 suite is the Enterprise Mobility and Security Suite, or EMS. First of all, what is EMS? Microsoft Enterprise Mobility and Security is an intelligent mobility management and security platform. It helps protect and secure your organization and empowers your employees to work in new and flexible ways. EMS is made up of multiple products, the main ones being Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Intune, Azure Information Protection, Microsoft Cloud App Security, Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics, and Azure Advanced Threat Protection. Let's take a look at them in more detail. Azure Active Directory, also simply called Azure AD, is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service, which helps your employees sign in and access resources, either internal resources such as on-prem applications, files share, and of course, Office 365, and you can also use it to access thousands of other software as a service applications. Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based service in the enterprise mobility management space that helps enable your workforce to be productive while keeping your corporate data protected. Similar to other Azure services, Microsoft Intune is available in the Azure portal. With Intune, you can manage the mobile devices and PCs your workforce uses to access company data, manage the mobile apps your workforce uses, and ensure devices and apps are compliant with company security requirements. Azure Information Protection, sometimes referred to as IP, is a cloud-based solution that helps an organization to classify and optionally protect its documents and emails by applying labels. Labels can be applied automatically by administrators who define rules and conditions either manually by users or a combination where users are given a recommendation. An example rule can be that if a document has a certain label, it cannot be shared externally. Microsoft Cloud Security is a cloud solution that allows you to discover different cloud applications, use it across your organization, including ones that you do not know about. It automatically ranks and scores over 16,000 cloud apps based on how secure they are, and you do not need any agent or anything like that. The data is collected directly from the firewall. Next up, Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics. Advanced Threat Analytics is an on-premises platform that helps protect your enterprise from multiple types of targeted cyber attacks and insider tricks. ADA leverages appropriate theory network parsing engine to capture and parse network traffic of multiple protocols, such as Kerberos, DNS, RPC, and TLM, and others for authentication, authorization, and information gathering. It takes information from multiple data sources, such as logs and events in your network to learn the behavior of users and other entities in the organization and builds the behavioral profile about them. ADA technology detects multiple suspicious activities, focusing on several phases of the cyber attack kill chain including reconnaissance, during which attackers gather information on how the environment is built, what the different aspects are, and which entities exist. Next up, the lateral movement cycle, during which an attacker invests time and effort in spreading their attack surface inside your network, and finally, domain dominance, during which an attacker captures the information that allows them to resume their campaign using various sets of entry points, credentials, and techniques. Next up, we have Azure Advanced Threat Protection, or ATP. ATP is a cloud-based security solution that leverages your on-premises Active Directory signals to identify, detect, and investigate advanced threats, compromised identities, and malicious insider actions directed at your organization. It also helps provide clear incident information on a simple timeline for fast triage. Now that we have seen an overview of everything that's included in Microsoft 365, how do we manage it all? The answer is the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center is the central location to manage Microsoft 365 users and services. Each service also has a specialized administrator portal. For example, SharePoint Online has the SharePoint Admin Center, Exchange has its own Admin Center, Flow, and almost every other service out there has their own specialized admin centers as well. Who has access to this admin center is decided based on the role-based access control, or RBAC, permission model. You can either be a global administrator, which makes you an administrator of everything, or a specialized administrator where you could be an administrator of specific services. For example, you could only be an administrator of SharePoint Online, or you could be an administrator of Exchange, as well as Microsoft Teams, and you can really build your own combination of admin roles depending on your specific needs.